So I decided I was just going to do a video this way. I was hoping to do a live stream, but I'm just having problems with lag time, and it's just a hassle to work on, and I wanted to do this because I was inspired. One of the things that I have been doing over the last year in my attempt to be better, I've been working on my website, and my website consists of things like hypnotic videos, more audio. They're hypnotic audios. There are videos, but the videos are to support the audio, to give the images so that when you close your eyes, there's a setup image for you. Like if I was to tell you to imagine an elephant, it was easy to do. And so the videos that are with the audio are there to enhance. I also want to share things that I do. The website, the business is called Wizard's Workshop. And if you read the About Me, or I'll just tell you, I've been on a quest, I guess, in life. And I can't say it's all been will. It hasn't been like I am going to do this. But life has turned out a certain way for me. And it's been kind of a magical experience. And so I was producing these audios and listening to them myself, and it helped to inspire me. And one of the things that I wanted to do was grow plants. And that my big change happened last year. I've always grown plants. My parents are gardeners, or were gardeners, for decades, and that got me pointed that I've always loved plants. And so my main focus was the yard, the garden, studying things like permaculture and forest gardening. But what shifted in this last year was that I live in Salt Lake City, and the air quality here is real bad in the winter. We get this thing called an inversion, and if you can imagine, the valley is like a bowl, and we build this accumulation of waste in our air, and if we don't get a storm that comes in, then it sits, and we're under it, and so our air quality gets really bad. And as I'm coughing, as I get older, I've noticed more and more of a negative response to it, and we can do something about the whole, but even I have to drive to work. I go to work early. There's no bus to get there on time. I can walk a mile to the train early in the morning and run from the train into work. I choose not to, so I drive. And so I am not here to tell people not to drive. But we can do things about our own air quality, and it's in our homes. And what people don't talk about is the air quality inside your house is often worse than outside. And so we don't see it. It doesn't look like smog, but it builds up. And so the thought process went through my head, how do I fix this? What do I do in my house? Because I'm waking up just snot-skulled and just coughing up a lung. And what can I do to make my air better? My first thought was the obvious tech solution, which was to buy an air purifier. And it seems reasonable to buy something to filter out your air. But then the light bulb went on, and I went the organic route. And you can see behind me what that looks like. I'm pointing in the wrong way. Where are you? There's the finger. There's plants behind me, and they're all through my house. Today I wanted to specifically show you what I got today. And I want to show videos of plants. It's an addition to what I do, because I think that you can learn to do this too, because it's not that difficult. The thing I hear the most from people is I kill plants. And majority of us do. I cannot tell you how many plants I've killed over the years. It's a lot. A lot of money has gone into plants that no longer are here. But what I learned was that if you buy a plant, it will more than likely die, based on the fact that a plant's not like a pet. I consider them pets. I was at the store today thinking that I was adopting a plant, and I think that's a fair way to look at it, that this is plant adoption. But what I found was, if you buy a plant, it doesn't tell you when it's hungry, it doesn't tell you when it's thirsty, and it doesn't tell you if you overwatered it. It just is done, because they're just not loud beings. But what I did in my thought process is that if you have lots of plants, then you can't forget them. You know where they are, you will always see them, and because you will always see them, you're going to remember that they're there, and you're going to remember to take care of them. And so today I bought a cluster. The first one I want to talk about is the peace lily. The peace lily is a very easy to maintain plant. It has a beautiful flower at the top. Blooms, I can't say all the time. I've got some that aren't in bloom, and I've got some that are, and sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But the peace lily, besides just having beautiful, broad, shiny leaves, I've seen these upwards of 2.5, 3 feet tall. This is a monster when it comes to air purifying, and it's on NASA's list, which is where I first learned the research years ago. And NASA put out a list of plants. They were doing experiments in these chambers, trying to figure out how many plants to put in a space to produce oxygen for people to breathe, and of course which plants cleaned the air. And so you've got things like benzene and methane, and that's just two good ones. But they have a good list of what our house produces based on furniture, drapes. Benzene is produced by car exhaust, and so benzene is one of those ones you want to work on with car pollution. So if you live in the city, benzene is one of those things you want to filter out of your air. But the peace lily is the monster. It's easy to care for. It likes being fairly moist. If you underwater it, it starts to droop, and that's an immediate sign. You take a look at it, you see that it's wilty, you give it some water, and it perks right back up. It likes to be root bound, and so keeping it in the same pot for a long period of time is to its advantage. And so it's a workhorse, and it's a beautiful plant. The rules were that you should have, and again with their list, 4 of each plant per person per room, and so that could be a lot. But my thought last year was, I was looking at my house. I've got some plants. One plant I've had for over 20 years. Some plants I've had for a decade and a half or more. And I decided I wanted to turn my house into a jungle. And again, looking behind me, you can see a few. It's not a jungle yet. I'm still working on it, and I'm more than willing to keep going. I'm hoping to show some videos of like the rooms and what I've done, because I'm inspired when I watch videos like this one, and people show what they've done and how they're doing it, how they're growing plants, which plants are easiest, and it's inspired me. And so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to add to the pile because I think information is good. And if you like what you hear, then thanks, and I'm hoping I can produce some stuff that you like. Another plant, this I got today. It is an anthurium. It is a white flowered anthurium. The anthurium, again, I've got one I've had for several months now. It doesn't have any flowers on it. I hope it comes back. I turned it into what's called a Coca Adama, and I'm hoping to show what that looks like. It's not exciting to look at right now because it's not in flower, but I bought this one today, and it is, and it's beautiful, and it's small. I don't know if it's going to get any bigger. Based on most of these are hybridized, they're made in laboratories, and so again, I don't know how big it's going to get. I've seen some in the store next to this, a good 2 feet tall. The one I have in the living room, the root ball I have is probably a good 6 to 7 inches, and it stands another probably 12 inches above that. And taking care of it that way I found is really easy. This one I'm hoping to keep alive, and we'll keep you posted on that one. This one over here that I put in my living room, but I bought them today, so I'm showing them off. This is a lemon lime philodendron, and philodendrons, there's lots of different varieties of philodendrons. This one looks like it's going to be more of a bush coming off from the stems here, and it's just going to be a standard type of plant. I've got tall ones that are vining, and a couple, one a good one that is going to come down from a hanging basket. This one I don't think is going to droop the same, but I really like the colorations and the form of the plant. Get it in there before, you don't want to look at me, you can look at the plant. There we go. And yeah, just a beautiful plant. I'm guessing, based on the tag, I think it's a fair guess that this is a hybrid, and it's a new hybrid. The reason I say that is because it says that propagation is strictly prohibited. And so a lot of plants, and this is something I expect to get into over the next little while, is just propagating plants. Keeping them alive, the plant is going to continue to grow. They become pot-bound. Depending on the species of plant, they will either send up little pups from the root base, and so you can divide that little plant out of it, or they spread and you can divide the plant. Other plants you can do cuttings, and looking at this one is a good possibility that in the years ahead, when the propagation rule no longer applies, I don't know if you can see it or if I can get it into the shot, but here, inside here, where are we? There we go. My finger is down here. There are aerial roots. And so what you do, I shouldn't use this one as an example, but with other plants that are not restricted, you cut below the node and you put that in soil, sometimes in water, and it'll create new roots, and then you have a whole new plant started. And again, in time I hope to show you how that's done, and again, just add to the pile of videos. One thing I like, I use these cups. I'm not showing you the name because they don't pay me to market their yogurt, but I'm a yogurt eater, and I like this type of yogurt, and it makes a perfect little water stand. And so all over my house are these things because I eat the yogurt and then I reuse the cup. just so I'm not throwing them away. But some plants you water under, and other plants you water the top of the soil, and either way they drip, and that could get all over your counters and not be what you want. So little layered trays that you put under. These I bought today, and they just go around, and they're only usually like 30 cents, 40 cents a piece. Even the bigger ones aren't even that much. But they're necessary if not worth it. The next one I have been drooling over for quite some time, and the nursery, and I'll tell you the name of the nursery I go to here in Salt Lake. It's called Cactus and Tropicals. Look it up, Cactus and Tropicals. They're a really good store, knowledgeable people. I recommend them very much. So this is called a Sansevieria. Sansevieria are also on the list of NASA plants. So this takes out a lot of the funk in our air. But what is supposed to be, and you know, it's science, people make stuff up. The idea with this specific type of plant is that they breathe at night. And so if you can imagine, a plant is exhaling and inhaling. The difference between us and plants, you learn this from school, is that we exhale carbon dioxide, they inhale carbon dioxide, they exhale oxygen, we inhale oxygen. This was the reason I did the plants versus the air purifier. The machine will filter your air. The plant filters your air, but also makes oxygen. And so you create an oxygen-rich environment. The more plants that are in your system, in your home, where you are. And so your inhaling and exhaling feeds them, their inhaling and exhaling feeds you. But this one breathes at night, which means that you put it in your bedroom, so that while you are asleep, if you're not, if you work on graveyard shift, it doesn't apply. But if, like the majority of people, you sleep during the night, then this plant is exhaling oxygen while you're sleeping in that room. And so get a bunch of these, put them in your bedroom, and you'll breathe better because it's producing oxygen and cleaning your air. But this specific species, I don't know if I can get this on camera. You can see it. It's got these long stripes. What is this one called? Bentils sens. So it's a Sansevieria. I don't know, I fell in love with it. It's the variegations, the striping is just a beautiful thing to look at. I'm not the most successful with these, which is kind of a bummer, and I keep trying anyway. They are a succulent. They don't need a lot of water. They prefer to be dry. They also prefer to be pot bound. I've never had to repot anything because nothing's ever lived that long, but these long ones I seem to have the most trouble with. I've got others that are completely different form, and I'm doing really well with those. But as a succulent, you just don't water these as much. I think my problem is that they rot because I'm overzealous, I think, with watering sometimes. But I don't exactly know. But those are 4 that I got. I've got this cart behind me, and mostly the one you can see, the big one there, where'd it go? There's my finger. That one is a palm and an areta, A-R-E-T-A, areta, palm. And so I've got a bunch of lights behind me, and so it absorbs that. They need a lot of light, they need a lot of moisture. Palms usually do. Again, in my living room I've got a couple. Hopefully I'll show you. But on this cart down here, I have a species of plant, and I'm growing a collection of them because fallen in love with them. They're not what I would say is high on the list of cleaning out things like the formaldehyde, the benzene, and the ammonia, but all plants produce oxygen, all plants clean out the carbon dioxide, and then some plants are just gorgeous. And this one, there, is a type of peperomia. And again, I've fallen in love with the peperomia species. This one is stilts, I think it's called. I've also heard it as parallel. The variegations on the leaves run parallel, and of course it's a very long leaf or stem here, and so it's called stilts. So either of those, this was $7, but I'm adding it to my peperomia collection behind me. And yeah, again, if you're interested, if you like this, put a like. I know how it works. The more you do that, the more it shows up on the list of videos. Otherwise, it's just going to disappear, and I'll just keep pushing these and be invisible online. But if you like what you see, then like it. Please comment, and I hope to add to this collection in the spring if I'm still in this house. Long story short, I don't know. But if I'm still here, I've got a yard outside. I've got some videos that showed how to build a pond. I didn't show how to build a pond. I built a pond. Put in a greenhouse out there, just a temporary one. And so I'm hoping to add more to the garden videos. If I have to move into an apartment next, obviously the gardening is not going to be part of the collection right away. But in time, I can see that I will definitely be posting gardening videos. So, I hope that you like this, and if you do like it, and yeah, I'll see you again. Thanks for watching.